What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and here we are right at the start, fresh of 2018, and I decided I would take a look at all of our current generation consoles, or can you really call them current, because one of them is actually 9th gen, and the other two are actually 8th generation, but these are the three current consoles, and we're going to take a look at them, and we're going to see what each one individually has to offer us. And based on the pros and cons of these videos, you'll be able to decide if you should buy one, or if it's for you or not. And real quick, just before we get any further into it, every price and date I'm going off in this video is based on European stuff. There might be some differences based on price or availability or release date in your region, but I'm currently going off everything as it was released in Europe and the current prices here in Ireland at the moment. So it's time to look at what Sony is offering in their 8th generation platform, the PlayStation 4. Released towards the end of November in 2013, just after the release of the Xbox One, it was the final 8th generation console to be released. But Sony took a little bit of a different approach from Microsoft. They went straight hardcore focused just on the gaming aspect of it. Which makes perfect sense. These consoles are gaming consoles primarily first and foremost. Sure, it's nice to have all these extra apps and abilities to watch films like say Blu-ray and Netflix, but people are buying these consoles to play games. And out of all the platforms we're going to look at today in these three videos, the PlayStation 4 is the most powerful console of the base versions of each of these three consoles. So what does the PlayStation 4 offer your average gamer? Well, first and foremost, and pretty much most importantly, it offers games. The PlayStation 4 of all three current consoles has the biggest library of first-party games, third-party games, and indie games. You'll find your big third-party games like Final Fantasy 15, Assassin's Creed, Madden, FIFA, Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever, you will find those on here, just like you'll find them on Xbox One. However, what you will find is a much larger variety when it comes to maybe AA games, or just games that are not completely 100% AAA, as well as indie and niche titles as well. Some of which are extremely highly rated and critically acclaimed, like Persona 5 for example. Also games like Neo and Nier Automata, to name but a few. You'll also find much more niche and obscure titles on the PlayStation 4 than you will on the Xbox One. Many of these games selling over 1 million copies, so it's not like they're even too small, too niche, or too obscure to just count out. And on top of all of that, from both third-party, huge AAA games, slightly lesser games, and indie and niche games, you also have Sony's first-party offering, many of which are both critically acclaimed, well-loved by fans, and genuinely gorgeous games for consoles. What they offer is several steps ahead of Microsoft's offering. And I can say that even though most of them don't actually appeal to me. Visually, there's no comparison between a first-party Xbox One game and a first-party PlayStation 4 game. The design and the talent of the teams that actually goes into these games are miles ahead, with games like Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, and the upcoming Last of Us Part 2, not to mention the Spider-Man game in the works. There's a huge offering when it comes to first-party studios and first-party titles on the PlayStation 4. And when you look at the sales numbers, they provide basically 100% evidence of this. Currently, the PlayStation 4 has sold over 70 million units in the same time on the market as the Xbox One, which has sold roughly 30 million units. Going back to third-party games and multi-platform games here, as I mentioned, the PlayStation 4 is the most powerful of the three base consoles. So when playing on a PlayStation 4, you will get slightly better visuals, slightly better resolution, or slightly better frame rates, or a combination of the three. Something that's worthwhile to consider overall. You're essentially getting a slightly better looking or better performing version of the game. Now let's look at some of the other services and quality and all that comes with the PlayStation 4 that's worth mentioning. Similar to the Xbox One, Sony has an online subscription service that is required to play multiplayer games online called PlayStation Plus. Also, like Xbox One, costs €60 a year and has a similar style free games every month style service called the PlayStation Plus game, where they will give you on average 4 to 6 games every month for both PS3, PS4 and even PlayStation Vita. Having said all that, given the fact that the service is the same cost, it's actually a bit of an inferior service, with far more downtimes, far more maintenance times, far more crashes, and generally inferior quality connections and download speeds can be a bit off-putting to some users. One thing that is also extremely apparent is the voice chat. The first couple of times you use a PlayStation 4 voice chat, you may turn it on and wonder, hey, why is this brand new console in this brand new generation that just cost me several €100? Why does the voice chat sound worse than my 360 headset did? Now, it's by no means unusable, but it's definitely noticeable. Granted, I'm sure many people will forget about it over time, especially after consistent use. They'll just consider that their new normal and won't even think about it twice. It's just something to know going in. In a comparison to the Xbox One version and Microsoft version of this video, there's no additional subscription service in the sense of a Netflix style service for games or any offered by third parties. For example, there is no EA access on PlayStation 4. That brings us to another thing that Xbox does technically have over PlayStation on this front as well: backwards compatibility. I hesitate to even call it backwards compatibility on PlayStation 4 because it's a very, very small selection of games added from the PlayStation 2, all of which you actually have to re-buy even if you previously owned a digital copy on PlayStation 3 and the discs do not work. So even if you were using your same PS3 account on your PlayStation 4 and you had a digital version of a game that's available and you have the physical disc, neither of those versions will actually work and you will have to buy it again. A large complaint with several of these games as well is that many of them launch broken and have a lot of bugs in them. Granted, a lot of these do get worked out over time, but it can be pretty frustrating when you've just paid €15 for a new game, or rather a new version of an old game, and it doesn't work. I know myself personally have had this problem with 3 games that I bought in a bundle at once, and it's turned me off buying any more completely. Another game was ported over at one point to the PlayStation 2 backwards compatibility service, or whatever we'll call it, and it actually had a broken game-breaking bug in it, where you could not progress beyond a certain point until the game was later patched and fixed. So when it comes to the quote backwards compatibility unquote side of it, as a comparison to the other system, the PlayStation 4 is absolutely nowhere near it in that regard. So let's look at everything we have so far on the PlayStation 4 side of it, and let's look at it all in relation to the price of the console. What will you need to lay out in order to get going on one of these? So currently there are 2 different models of the PlayStation 4. There's the standard PlayStation 4 Slim and the PlayStation 4 Pro. We'll get to the Pro now in a minute, but all of this is working on the assumption of the PlayStation Slim, because that is going to be your standard option for most people. You can currently pick up a PlayStation Slim 1TB for €300. Marginally more expensive than one of the competitors, and generally does not come with a game. However, having said all that, it does give you better performing versions of basically all the games available, as well as access to a much wider and varied library of third-party titles. And not to mention all the games that come on the PlayStation from the first party, many of which have actually been announced for this year. So there will be a steady stream of both first and third-party games, as well as niche, obscure games as well, throughout the year. Something that cannot be said for some of its competitors. So generally you'll be looking to pay roughly about €300 to €350 for a PlayStation 4 Slim, or maybe a bundle that will come with a game or two. Now real quick before we go any further and get to the actual verdict, we will talk about the PlayStation 4 Pro ever so slightly. So similar to the Xbox One X, the PlayStation 4 Pro is a more enhanced and improved and powerful version of the PlayStation 4. The PS4 Pro is not as powerful as the Xbox One X, and it won't give you up to the same levels of quality and performance improvements as the Xbox One X, but it is also slightly cheaper than the Xbox One X. The competition being €500, the PlayStation 4 being €400. Roughly €100 increase over the standard PlayStation 4. So in PlayStation 4 Pro enhanced versions of games, you will get slightly better frame rates, slightly better resolutions, slightly better visual settings, etc, etc. Essentially your games will look and run slightly better. Most of the time. Assuming it's a game it's actually enhanced and patched to use the extra power of the PS4 Pro. Would I recommend spending the extra €100 on a PlayStation 4 Pro? Probably not, unless you're a die-hard user. I'm talking 60 plus, if not significantly more games by the end of the lifespan of their console. It's probably not worth your effort to buy the PlayStation 4 Pro. However, we're going to go on to the final verdict of this video, and it's all based on the assumption of the standard PlayStation 4 Slim, the €300 model we already talked about. So do I think the PlayStation 4 Slim €300 is worth the money, and would I recommend it to anyone to buy this actual console over, say, Microsoft or Nintendo's offering? Absolutely. This is what I would recommend over either of the others to anyone. It gives you the best performing versions of the game in relative price costs, and it gives you a much larger and wider and more varied library of access to. And chances are, because of the sales numbers, you can see 70 million compared to 30 million, chances are your friends are also going to have PlayStation 4s. And you're going to want to be able to play your favorite games, be it FIFA, Madden, Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever, with your friends online. Something that you'll only be able to do on PlayStation 4 if they have PlayStation 4. So overall, yes, I would definitely recommend the PlayStation 4 as a primary console to anyone who wants to buy just one console. So there we have it. Hopefully this video has been informative and comprehensive enough to answer the majority of, or if not all of your questions. If I did miss anything or you need to know anything else, leave it in the comments section below. And of course, I can get back to you on that. If you found the video helpful or informative in any way, hit the like button. Thank you for watching, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.